All right, guys, we got some new lighting to try out for our beard advice series, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to my Beards and Banjos YouTube channel where we discuss tips and tricks for your beards. We do some product reviews and some unboxings, and we also have this beard advice series where you guys can send in pictures to me to the email address you see below. I take a look at it for a few weeks and you get featured in your own beard advice series video like we're doing today. And today we've got 7. And if you take a look at 7, he's a really hard-working guy, mild-mannered guy. If you take a look at him, there's got that nice long beard. It's got some curls and waves to it we're going to be talking about. But that's just by day. By night and on weekends, 7 turns into pretty much a rock star if you'll take a look at him here. So he's got a brand new haircut with the spiky hair and the shaved sides. He's been experimenting around with some of that stuff. But he really wants some advice on trying to tame his mane, if you will. We'll do hashtag tame your mane on this one. But he's got a little bit of a straighter texture as far as the thinness of his texture on his beard. So I wouldn't call it overly curly, but it's got the looser waves and curls. So it's kind of a different beast in and of itself. You can go back and take a look at Scott's video that we did with him. He's kind of have that same texture. It's straighter in a way because it's not the really tight corkscrews. But it's got lots of waves to it. So he says that 7 says that he uses the straightening brush, the heated brush, when it's really unruly with the argan spray, the heat shield spray on it. He does use co-wash, he does use the oil and all that kind of stuff, but he still has major issues with it. He said he doesn't like using tons of balm because if he uses balm, they kind of turn into snakes on the way down. Which I could see that happening. But the key to this styling routine is going to be the blow dryer. And it really is most bearded guys' best friends if you start having a longer beard. So yeah, you can use the heated brush sometimes, but for me, this was a total game changer. I know I don't have a super long beard, but if I could not keep a beard this length without the hair dryer, it would not look well on me. So I really suggest you getting a good hair dryer that's got variable speeds. This one's got cool, warm, and hot, and it's got a low and a high for your temperature, and the cold shot button really does help lock in. Okay, and it's really awkward to get started with this because I felt like so much like a fish out of water trying to hold this up and hold a tool here and trying to figure out how to get that going. But after a few months, you kind of find a routine that works for you. And if you look at 7's beard there, it's nice and long. He said that's really pretty much 2 years of growth with trims. He wants to go even farther. So that being the case, you've already got a nice length to it. You won't have to start changing your tools out all the time. Once you find something that works for that long length, you're not going to have to worry about changing it all the time. Unlike if somebody's growing stuff out from scratch. Like for me, when I trimmed my beard way back a few months ago, I was able to use kind of the stiffer brushes and those kind of things. And then I kind of switched to this one. It's a little more spacious round brush. And then after it's down to this length, I can't really get that through it really good without it being really snaggy. So I go to like a detangler brush. And 7 says he uses the Boss Man brush. Well, that's a really good one because it's got some space to it. And then down below, it's got some boar's hair brush, boar's hair bristles on it, kind of like this one. It's got some very wide space to get in there, and then it's got something to really grab hold of the hair as you go. So let's see what we can do with that. So when you go to style it, and it shouldn't take a long time. Once you get the hang of it, you're not using the hair dryer more than 2 minutes at the very most. All right, so it does not take very long to do. But I usually do this out of the shower. So if you're not taking a shower, you can kind of wet everything down, kind of reboot everything. You put in your oil, okay, and then you can just make sure you comb that through. And then you take whichever tool works for you. All right, so that's what you have to play around with. But the key is you want to get a little bit of tension. somehow. And that can mean going down this way. And I think your Boss Man brush would work pretty well overall. You might could go back over with something that's going to get a little more tension to it. But you go down and then you hold the hair dryer here about 8 to 12 inches away. And I like it on, for me, I like low and hot, okay? Because I just keep everything moving. And like I said, I'm not leaving it on there for much of the time. Okay, and then if you do have those waves, what you can do is right below those waves, you kind of catch it and then you spin out on it, okay, and then get some tension that way, and you're kind of going against the grain and working on those waves. And then always at the bottom, I like kind of rolling mine under, but yours is so long that you probably don't have to worry about that. So you want to try to play around with some different tools. You said you had a round brush of some type. I'm not sure if it's the one with the tight boar's hair or if it's a looser one with the plastic tines on it. Use your Boss Man brush. Use a twirly brush like this one's pretty good. And then once you get that kind of out, you kind of go through everything and you will see it. The waves will start to come out. And then once you do that, you go back and hit the cool shot or put it all the way on cool. And then you go back over, and I use my hand. I just kind of press everything down. It kind of smooths everything. If you've got a boar's hair bristle brush, you could kind of smooth that on top as well. Okay, and that kind of locks everything in. And then after that, you do want to use some balm. Now, I want to talk about the type of balm. By the way, if you're really having trouble with it, a couple of other options just to throw out for you and everybody else is you can actually put some low hold balm before you use the hair dryer. And that'll kind of mold everything into place and melt that balm down, and it'll kind of lock in. Same thing with a butter. Some butters have a little bit more hold than others. And if you put some butter in, it's going to be a little bit more weighty. So it might have a tendency to hold those curls down just a little bit more. So just some things to play around with is putting on some different products besides oil before you use the hair dryer. So maybe try some butter, maybe try a light balm to see how that does. And then you go through that same process I talked about. And then you want to put some balm on at the end. And I suggest for you, this may sound counterintuitive to what you think, but I suggest a high hold balm. Not to hold everything in place, but you're holding that shape in that you just put in. All right, so and as long as your beard is, it's still going to be able to move around. It's not going to be that stiff. But I'll give you a couple options. You got anything from the Luxurious Bastard is a very high hold balm, and the way you want to think about that is look how it is in the can. If it's nice and dry in the can, it's going to be nice and dry in your beard once it sets up. All right, so I really like that. Also, Ferocious Beard Company has just come out with a beard wax that I did an unboxing on. He also now has the unscented in it, so that's kind of something that I think every beardsman should have in their repertoire, is a really high hold balm or a beard wax that's unscented. You can put that on top of anything else, so I highly recommend that for you. And I don't really have a whole lot else besides like pictures of models and those kind of stuff for your shape, because you just want to let it keep going. And I think it's going to kind of naturally take more of a kind of a V shape like you've got there, because if you go another 4 inches, some of your hair is going to start to go terminal. So usually that'll happen here, and then the ones in the middle go a little bit longer, and you kind of have that nice rounded, almost a V shape to it. So just keep rocking that out, man. As far as your hair goes, from your personality that I'm seeing, any of those kind of radical hairdos are pretty cool. So what you've got there, you can go a little shorter. You can kind of go with the mohawk, right? Or you could go with kind of an extended mohawk there, and all kind of stuff. But if you want to go a little more traditional, when what you have grows out, you could do something like this particular picture here. I didn't focus a lot on that. I really wanted to focus on your styling routine and just really emphasizing that this hair dryer, 2 minutes with this hair dryer and locking everything in, and then putting a good quality high hold balm on that, I think you're going to be much happier with it. Most guys end up liking the hair dryer much more than the heated brush. It kind of gives you more control. It looks more natural when you get finished. A lot of times that heated brush can tend to look kind of fried, especially on the very ends of it, because it just comes out straight and it looks like spaghetti noodles hanging down. So I think you'll like the hair dryer. So get one with a cold shot. Use high heat. Move everything. Take about 2 minutes on that. Go back with the cold shot. Lock everything in, and then put in the balm. And let me know how that goes. All right. If anybody else in the comments there have some suggestions for 7, he's got that kind of texture where it's thinner hair, but it's also really wavy and curly. If you have any suggestions on how to tame that beast, make sure you put them down in the comments. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next one.